Hey guys, and welcome back to another dev analysis. In this video, I'm finally going to be discussing FNAF Plus. I've been waiting so long to do a theory on this game, you have no idea. Five Nights at Freddy's Plus is probably one of the biggest and most anticipated fan games in the fanverse. The graphics are beyond astounding, it has a high creepiness factor, and it brings back classic FNAF in a whole new light. Underneath the surface, there are tons of secrets and mysteries that have yet to be put into the story, which is what I plan to do in this video. Ever since August of 2020, there have been new teaser images, videos, and even a little bit of gameplay that have surfaced on YouTube and Twitter. There have been many theories and thoughts surrounding the story so far, but I think I have an understanding of what's going on, and how it all fits together. So let's jump into it. To begin, I want to answer a question that leaves the breaking and entering teaser in mystery, which is what happens to the protagonist after Foxy breaks open the door to the backstage room. Well, we see what looks like to be the puppet, looming out for a second before it all fades to black. Then after that, we just see Foxy. So while Phisnom confirmed that the protagonist didn't die, I agree with the speculation that a soul was put into Foxy. This ties into the night mode teaser, when Foxy tries to escape the building, only to stop just before the exit. If he wasn't possessed, he wouldn't be trying to do that. But that leads to another question. If Foxy wasn't possessed before, why does he follow you around and breaking and entering? A huge revelation that pops up was that King Carter discovered that Foxy stalks the protagonist throughout the restaurant. This is tied into the fact that Foxy has a milky white eye, which seems to be connected with the cameras in the building, as it's seen to switch off and on at random times. A lot of people are suggesting that Foxy is somehow wired into the system and using the cameras to keep track of the protagonist as he wanders around the building, but I think it's more specific than that. In the night mode teaser, we see that Foxy has witnessed the previous teasers, such as stage performance and routine check. He also saw Bonnie from connection error. This shows that he's able to record videos like a camera. If you think about it, what other game have we seen characters that have white eyes that act like a camera? Where have we seen characters stalking people no matter where they turn? The Fredbear plush from FNAF 4. So, just like in FNAF 4, someone is watching us through Foxy's camera. This to explain why Foxy doesn't immediately attack us, even though he's aware we're in the building. Meaning someone else is trying to find out what we're up to, while we're wandering around the pizzeria at night. But why Foxy and not the other animatronics? Well, if you look at the children's drawings in the West Hall, as well as the office, we see no sign of Foxy, except for one picture that looks to be Pirate's Cove, but there are no images of Foxy himself. This also goes along with Pirate's Cove being out of order. If Foxy appears to be out of commission, then it makes it easier for Fazbear Entertainment to use him to spy on everything that happens during the day, as we've seen with quiet hours and stage performance. Another big thing to note is that Foxy wasn't the only one to have those milky white eyes. During breaking and entering, we see other animatronic heads with those same eyes just sitting there on the shelves. It implies that the company tried using them as security cameras before Foxy, but seeing as they're the main cast, people would probably get suspicious about this feature. This also ties in with Chica and her broken eye. If they replaced her eyes beforehand, then it makes sense that one of Chica's wasn't put in properly, leading it to be disconnected with the rest of her body. One last thing to mention about Foxy is that he's a mysterious F, or test, from the sped-up phone call and breaking and entering. This message lays out specific instructions for workers at the pizzeria to follow. However, there are a couple that the protagonist breaks in the few seconds of looking at Foxy, namely the don't make any sudden movements while in view of F, don't make direct eye contact with F, and don't stand in front of or behind F. This is also the only time the protagonist looks directly into Foxy's eyes and even runs away from him. This leads to the protagonist cornering himself backstage and the puppet putting him into Foxy, causing the company to receive bad publicity. And one thing that's important to note is that in the teaser 6B, the description states that Freddy's was put into controversy again. So, what happened the first time? There are a couple of things this could be referring to. It could be related to the show performance teaser where the song glitches out and the camera, or Foxy, falls to the floor, but I think it's something else. While the protagonist is in the backstage area, he finds another Freddy suit, but the head has actual eyes coming out of the sockets. Since this matches up with the death screen from FNAF 1, the death of this person, most likely a security guard, was what caused the first controversy. And since he was stuffed in the suit, people in town probably thought he went missing as well, seeing as there is missing persons reports in one of the scenes from breaking and entering. In any case, once the protagonist discovers the body, whoever is stalking him knows he's seen too much, and makes sure he won't be able to leave to tell anyone by trapping him in the room. This all shows everything was planned. Once the management for the pizzeria knew they're going to be found out, they took precautions to ensure their secret wouldn't be revealed. So the management will allow the manual control override to remain available, even though it failed, when the animatronics roam around on their own. So the company put the other shows on hold after stage performance. This adds evidence that the Freddy's in this game is more interested in covering up incidents than the official games. In FNAF 1, the company doesn't deny the fact that kids went missing in the building, nor is there anywhere that says they tried to hide the fact that there were problems. But in this alternate universe, they are trying to keep these secrets hidden as best they can, and willing to go to extreme lengths to ensure nobody finds out. On the Steam page, it talks about not letting the animatronics into your office before explaining, in parentheses, trust us. It's a long story. It shows that something has happened beforehand with the robots that they don't want people finding out about, such as a security guard getting murdered, leaving the position open for the character we play as to take. What happened with the animatronics? Well, incidents relating directly to the missing children's incident. We know that Chica gets possessed by one of Purple Guy's victims because she glitches out when singing the phrase, "Follow me." Not only that, at the end of the song, "Follow me" flashes red a couple of times. The only other time we see this phrase is from the mysterious conversation in Breaking and Entering, where, presumably, Purple Guy is talking to one of the children, and the last thing he says is "follow me." Here, this phrase is also in red. So I think it's safe to say that this child is the spirit inside Chica. As for Bonnie, there's no direct evidence tying him to this event, but we can speculate he also became possessed from this incident because he's haunted in the very first teaser. Well, this ties into one of the newspapers seen in FNAF 1, where 2 local children were reportedly lured into a back room during the late hours of operation at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Now, since this game is meant to be an alternate universe of the original game, it's also that Phisnom only took this event into account of the story, straying away from the official missing children's incident involving 5 kids. It's also important to note that Freddy is not possessed at this time. Despite the fact that he acts ghostly at the end of routine check, we've seen the animatronics have the ability to somehow break cameras. We've seen it in Connection Area, when Bonnie causes the Cam 1B to go offline, resulting in Fazbear Entertainment charging the night guard with its repairs. We also see it in one of the teasers on the Steam page. For more proof, near the end of Breaking and Entering, we see flashes of the animatronics. Both Bonnie and Chica are staring at us, but for Freddy, he has his eyes closed, like he doesn't have anyone inside controlling him, like he's asleep. Believe it or not, we've seen this same image before, but in different ways. At the end of the Steam wishlist trailer, we see a flash of Freddy for a split second, except this time his eyes are open and his eyes are an eerie red. As creepy as it was, people didn't really know what it was supposed to show. But this image is very similar to the one in FNAF 1, when Freddy's head would appear in front of us as a hallucination. And that's not all. In one scene from Breaking and Entering, we see a line of text move across the screen. Reassembling it back together shows a weird image. It almost looks like a face. Or specifically, it looks like Freddy's face, the same one from the wishlist trailer. Underneath the picture is text saying, "Wake up." This may be a message from someone, maybe the puppet telling Freddy to literally wake up. It alludes that before he had no spirit possessing him, causing him to be asleep. But now, after Breaking and Entering, he does. And let's take another look back at the protagonist's motives for going in the pizzeria. In the notebook he holds up to the camera, one of the lines says, "Guards or live bait," with a security camera drawn next to it. What would make him consider that? Because what if Fazbear Entertainment really is using guards as bait? Because they're trying to lure them in to experiment on to find out how spirits can be alive in these animatronics. I know, I said something similar in a previous video, but let me explain. I feel this is what's going on because there's not really another explanation for that line. But, as crazy as it sounds, this claim can actually be supported. Putting souls inside animatronics is something we read about in A Shadow Over Freddy's, a game also made by Phisnom. In it, William Afton tries to find the secret of spirits living inside robots and toys. The same concept could also be used in FNAF Plus. The protagonist was unfortunate enough to fall for this plot. We see that their plan was successful. They put flyers out for position to work at Freddy's, hoping for more victims to come work, and you're one of them. You have to be killed by the same company that hired you, and attempt to try to find the secret behind the animatronic's possession. Now, there's one final question that needs an answer. Who do you play as? Because seriously, not just anyone would go to work at that place after hearing about disappearances and probably seeing the general creepiness of the animatronics. Well, this is purely speculation, but I think it's the protagonist's friend. In the description of the teaser 6B, we read that he was supposed to meet up with someone. When he goes there, no one else is there to explore with him. He could have just been lying to get his parents to let him go, but I don't think that's the case. When he holds up the notebook in the beginning of Breaking and Entering, the title reads The Paranormal Investigators, not Investigator. This implies that another person was helping him out, but didn't go to the restaurant, maybe because he was afraid or just didn't want to get caught. In any case, after hearing about how his friend went missing, he feels guilty for not being there to help him, and takes the job as a nighttime security guard in order to gain access to the pizzeria after hours to find out what happened to him. But little does he know he walked into a trap, and is about to become another victim in Fazbear Entertainment's plan. Well, this was a big one. But there is a lot to cover in this game. All the little details and Easter eggs point to a far bigger story than what we see at first, and it's all relating to the nature of the animatronics and Fazbear Entertainment. There's one more unrelated topic I want to cover before finally ending this video, which is the date when the game takes place. There are two conflicting years that both have some evidence, those being 1987 and 1993. For 1987, we see the puppet mask and the Balloon Boy figurine in the office, which as we know were animatronics from FNAF 2, which takes place during 1987. During quiet hours, we see 3 times that the camera recording the animatronics glitches out, with a timestamp at the bottom right corner changing to different time entirely for a short moment. Changes to 47, then to 4, and finally 36. By adding all the 3 numbers together, they equal 87, as in 1987. Not only that, the animatronics bear a rough resemblance to the withered animatronics in FNAF 2, even down to the fact that Bonnie may be able to take off his face. And not only that, one of the children's drawings looks very similar to the Take Cake to the Children minigame, which also appears in FNAF 2. All this would be fine if there weren't certain holes that point to it being in 1993. One huge thing about FNAF Plus is that the animatronics are on stage even during the day, which we know is what happened after the bite of 87. We know the game takes place in October based on the teaser 6B, and that the bite most likely takes place during November. If FNAF Plus takes place before the bite of 87, then why are the animatronics not roaming around during the day? Of course, seeing as this is an alternate universe, the bite probably doesn't take place in the story, but even in a different universe, why would you leave out one of the most important events in FNAF? Another piece of evidence to show that it's in 1993 is the pay on the newspaper, which looks to say $120 a week. We know that this is the same from FNAF 1, and also evidence to show that the game happens in 1993. So since it's the same in FNAF Plus, could that also be the case? There's a pretty interesting stalemate, almost as if Phisnom took the bite of 87 vs 83 into his own version. But anyway, what are your thoughts on the matter? Do you think FNAF Plus will happen in 1987 or 1983? Leave your theories in the comments, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.